Hi all, good afternoon. Hi all, good afternoon. My name is Shivshankar Muppa. I'm from International Business Management Masters from Coventry University. Today my topic is UK clothing retail analysis. Here the table of contents are introduction and starting with introduction and aims and ending with conclusion and recommendations references. I will discuss about this step by step. Now coming to the introduction. This presentation analyzes performance in the 5 UK clothing retailers between 2015-2024. The analysis is a combination of descriptive statistics and predictive. Coming to the next slide is the dataset is of 5 leading operators in UK. ASOS and ITX online on fast fashion propositions are taken up. H&M UK has global presence. John Lewis and Marks and Spencers are the representatives of general merchandise and department store. Annual information source comparison to facilitate cross-company analysis and within-company analysis. Cleaning steps matched the variable names and units to the year. Coming to the next slide, it's all about variables used. The most important is the turnover, where the predictors include profitability, capital structure, solvency, and scale of operations. Short-term solvency is approximate liquidity ratio. Equity capital is expressed in shareholders' funds. Gearing measures leverage means the ratio of return on capital employed is efficiency in capital use. The mean is the total of values that are divided by the size of the dataset. Coming to the next slide, it's all about descriptive analytics highlights. Here we can see central tendency shows turnover means 5201940, profit margin mean 2.61%, employees mean 34,090. Dispersion is high with turnover standard. Deviation 4,557 637 and employee standard deviation 36,785. Equity returns show heavily tails with kurtosis 6.34 and slight negative skew. Extremes are wide for profit before tax from minus liquidity average 0.605 with range 0.112. Coming to the next slide, it's about intercompany turnover levels. Turnover is total revenue earned from the sales during a period. The aggregate turnover increases by approximately 22.76 billion. In 2015 to 30.20 billion in 2024, John Lewis and Mark Spencers are still the biggest level distributors. ASOS demonstrates significant scale and a reduced absolute turnover. The rate of growth is not homogeneous, indicating that there have been changes in structures between formats, channels, and product mixes over the period. Coming to the next slide, the time trend insights 2015 to 2024. Sector turnover rises overall across the decade. Pandemic year 2020 shows profit stress of the sector. Recovery is visible in the totals by 2023 and 2024. The time series suggests that there is an increase in turnover with disruption approaching 2020 before tax profit becomes negative in the year 2020. Before returning by 2023 and 2024, sector total proves the growth of ASOS accelerates until 2021, when its levels of ITX and H&M have consistent footprints which have enabled them to have consistent contributions despite macroeconomic and trading. Coming to the next slide, the correlation analysis. The correlation matrix indicates that firm scale variables such as number of employees, shareholders, funds, and net tangible assets have strong positive relationships with turnover. This suggests that larger operational capacity and stronger capital positions align with higher revenue performance. In contrast, profitability ratios and liquidity measures show weaker and negative correlations, implying they do not directly drive turnover levels in the data set. Coming to the 10th slide, it's single regression findings. The single predictor model depicts that liquidity ratio is not a good predictor of turnover. The R-square value of approximately 0.046 implies little variance exploded. This statistical non-sig of confound by the use of the p-value of turnover 0.05. The negative correlation is not reliable. Hence, liquidity on its own should not be used to predict turnover or how the managers of such data would allocate their resources. The next slide is all about multiple regression findings. The overall specification describes close to 95.65% of turnover variance, which means considerable collective predictive value. The strongest driver with a coefficient of approximately 59.17 and a very low p-value is the number of the employees. Shareholders comes close to traditional importance, and here the rest of the variables are not significant at 5%, indicating that there is a few independent effects. Dashboard. Here we can see the dashboard. 3 messages are summarized on the dashboard. First, the revenue scale goes up throughout the decade with firm specific paths. Second, the profitability is cyclical, having a shock of 2020 on recovery. Third, among the predictive models variables, workforce scale is the most correlated with turnover. Liquidity is not a predictor of turnover alone, and this confirms the use of multi-factor approach to performance planning. And coming to the conclusion and recommendations, the industry grew with unique firms patterns. It has been demonstrated that employee turnover depends on the most important lever, the number of employees. Shareholders' funds portrays a growing role that is worth keeping an eye on it. To balance decision making, the management should match staffing, capital, and profitability measurements in the demand-based hiring and productivity programs. Coming to the last slide, it's references. Here you can see the references where I got these topics on matter to make this PPT. Thank you. Thank you for this.